Lewis, I'm going to come out with this right out of the gate. We just pulled this question. Hold your feet to the fire.
We're poking the bear, so to speak.
Who would you rather have going forward? Justin Fields or Jordan Love?
Well, wow, man.
Connection's bad. Are you still there, Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with Jordan right now is in a nice groove. He really is. And see, the thing is, Jordan has had the benefit of being able to sit and learn behind one of the best to ever do it in a system that, to me, is very well defined from week to week as far as what it is exactly philosophically they want to get accomplished. And now it doesn't always look great from week to week, and it's maybe not going to always be consistent in terms of its execution, but I think in terms of its philosophy, it puts him in a position to continue to grow and improve. And these young guys that he's playing with right now, all those first and second year receivers, one of the youngest groups in the NFL, are all improving too. So when you take it all in its totality, yeah, I would take him. And all the things I just talked about with Jordan are the kind of things like you watch Chicago, and I'm getting ahead of myself. And I'll let you guys ask questions, but I'll say this.
No, you keep going.
Over the past 2 weeks, though, right, if you look at their game against Detroit and their game against Minnesota, I understand structurally two different types of defenses that kind of pose you two different types of problems, but I'm like, I couldn't recognize the offense from the Detroit game to the Minnesota game. I'm like, what the hell's happening here? So, yeah, I'm going with Jordan Love.
And Lewis, who's that on? Is that on the coordinator? Is that on the quarterback?
Yeah, it's on everybody. But, yeah, primarily, I mean, it's on the coordinator has to put together the plan. And the quarterback has to be comfortable with it. And the quarterback has to have enough cachet to be able to say, look, I'm comfortable with this or I'm not comfortable with this. And this is kind of like, I guess at this point in time, look, if I'm Justin Fields, I'm going, look, this is what I'm comfortable with. And this is what I'm not. This is what I'm struggling with. This is what I'm not. This is what's helping us move the ball. This is what isn't, relative to what I'm comfortable with. And I tweeted during the Monday night game, right? I said, like, I dare Chicago to get in 12 personnel and get under center and run some kind of, first, second down play action pass that they deliver the ball on time in rhythm, and someone's going to run a route that's actually crisp, fast, precise, get out of the break and throw the damn ball. I didn't see it once. Not once. And I'm looking at it like nothing happened on time. Nothing. The drops didn't match up with the routes. Justin looks skittish. It looks like, hey, man, just figure something out and throw the ball. The receivers, I mean, the spacing, the route running, it just all looked like a damn mess. It just did. And I just watched it again on tape here this afternoon. Just saw something going on. So I wasn't tripping while I was watching this, was I? And then I watched Detroit. Now, Detroit game looks different. They're under center. They're running traditional play action. Sometimes the ball is coming out on time, and I'm going, okay, there are some two-back runs. They are getting some seams and gas in the front a little bit. But it's just the inconsistency that it's mind-boggling, and it's infuriating for me just from look, and I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care. I don't care what happens one way or another with Chicago. But for the fan base and for people who follow the team and who are invested in this team on a daily basis, a yearly basis, I'm sure you are pissed off at this point over the inconsistency and the kind of like lack of continuity in terms of a plan or an attack and the lack of improvement. It's just, and look, here's the last thing I'm going to say. Can somebody tell me why Darnell Mooney has been forgotten as a receiver?
I asked the coach that on Tuesday.
Why the hell is he being used as a lead blocker and as a point of attack guy on all these different screens they run? What is Darnell? 170 pounds soaking wet, maybe, with his helmet on?
Yeah.
What's happening here? What is that?
Lewis, when I watched them, the first word or the first, I guess, phrase that I kind of come to a conclusion is a lack of trust. It feels like the coordinator does it because, and I'll try to ask this question or phrase it as quickly as possible. They were actually addressing the pressure from Flores with, from what I understand, Justin, come to the line of scrimmage, see how many guys are at the line. If I can't block all of them, my audible is going to be wide receiver screen, get the ball out quick, and let somebody on one-on-one.
Sure.
Now, that to me limits, that seems pretty, I don't know if archaic, but I would like to see a little bit more diversified approach, but that's up to them. But I guess the point I'm making, Lewis, is that to me preaches a lack of trust, because if you're afraid that a linebacker's up and he's mugging at the line of scrimmage, he's going to drop back into a throwing lane, and you don't trust the quarterback not to throw it there, then really we're stuck, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, and I get that. Okay, so I get that. Right, ball's got to come out quick. What are some of your answers to pressure looks where you're going to have a free runner? Yeah, get the ball out on the perimeter, get a one-on-one, get some people covered up. We can move the football down the field. Yeah, okay, yeah, I get that. Okay, I get that a little bit. They didn't pressure every snap. I mean, there's got to be something to where not everything is done out of fear of Brian Flores is just going to run 11 up and just send 6, 7, and 8 guys at you every time. He doesn't do that every time. That's not a valid reason for, I think, the lack of diversification in that game plan. And you're right, Tommy. I mean, maybe it does come down to, well, I just don't know how much I can trust our quarterback to be able to handle what he sees at the line that, may put us in a bad situation, and I don't trust that he can maybe get us out of that bad situation into a good one. And if that's the case, then what that tells you is, at this point in time, even after the amount of reps that Justin has taken, albeit with 2 different coaching staffs, that, like I said the last time I was on here, maybe it's time for you to move on then. And maybe you're not going to be the one moving on, because, with whoever the next person is playing the position.
Yeah.
Because right now, like, it is just so uneven in terms of the production, the efficiency, the fundamental soundness in his game. It just looks very much, and like the look on his face sometimes is just like he looks rattled. He looks like he doesn't have a foundation under him as to, in regards to his confidence in that I can always go to this. I'm still able to play with that level of fundamental structure within myself that gives us a shot. It just literally looks like he's back there going, who the hell is open?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to say this because I don't want to misconstrue. When I say a lack of trust, I'm saying I don't think the coordinator trusts the quarterback fully, and I don't think the quarterback trusts what's being called into the huddle.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the play calls and the game plan are such that I don't know if they trust that he can get them maybe out of a play that's not ideal and into a play that is ideal or gives them a chance against a team that varies up their looks and gives you so much and really like majors in deception like Brian Flores does. And then I also don't believe that, again, like I was just referencing, that the look on Justin's face is one where I don't know if he's trusting what's happening in terms of how the play is supposed to be executed, and I don't know if he's trusting, his ability to get it done. He just looks lost. He looks in a daze. That game against Minnesota, how many times did you see the look on his face where he's just like, and the whole, patting yourself in the chest and going, my fault. Like, who gives a damn? Like, yeah, we know it's your fault when you fumble the ball. We know it's your fault when you throw an interception. Like, it's like that's just not good enough anymore at this point in time in his development and in the overall improvement arc of this football team. It's just not good enough anymore. Something's going to have to move. Someone's going to have to move. Something's going to have to change because it doesn't look any better from one week to the next. It just doesn't. And, like, juxtapose that with the first question you asked me about Jordan Love. It's looking better weekly there. It's looking better weekly. And you know what? At one point in time when I think Matt was talking about Justin's one of his starts against Kansas City a few years ago where he said that he just didn't give Jordan didn't give him enough answers against Spags, zero blitz packages, and 6 and 7 man pressure packages, 5 and 6 man pressures. And he goes, that's on me. That wasn't on him. That was on me. He probably could have handled more. I was afraid to give him more. And in essence, basically hamstrung him in that game. Well, that to me says, okay, they have a very definitive plan and a very definitive level of trust about where this young man was then, and they kind of like underestimated it. And then when you look at the way he's playing now and how these other young receivers and the tight ends are playing now, there's definite trust as to where we are now and where we're trying to get to, and we believe we're going to get there. And that's why you just see it continuing to improve. And I'm saying, like, that has got to be extremely frustrating for all the supporters of the Chicago Bears right now. And this isn't me. Look, I'm not one of those dudes. You guys know me. I'm not one of those dudes who calls for people's jobs and all that crap. I'm not that guy. I'm not, because I also know that there's information that I don't know because I'm not there. And you're really walking a fine line and walking, and doing a high wire act when you start calling for people's jobs and stuff and you don't have all the information. You're just trying to like get headlines and get people to listen to you and look at you. I'm not trying to do that. But what I am saying is looking at this, from the outside looking in and watching how Justin looks in the pocket, how the offense tries to attack, the confidence with which these players approach the game, the execution that they show, the uneven execution that they show. Like, if I'm running the team or I'm owning the team, I'm going, this is not good enough. This is just simply not good enough. Like, we're not here to just kind of be middle of the pack, bottom third, bottom quarter. We're the freaking Chicago Bears. We have a history. We have a history that includes Super Bowl.
Not a quarterback,
this
though.
is not good enough.
And not a quarterback, Lewis. And so, like, there are a lot of people who still call, though, and say, the upside, the flashes, the highlights.
You know what, man? And you know what? Let me tell you this. I think I tweeted this a little while ago, and you know what? And I heard this. I had a coach tell me this once, and I believe it wholeheartedly. Flashes get people fired. You know why? Because what happens is it flashes just enough for you to continue to hang on and hang on and hang on and hang on. And then next thing you know, okay, as a coach, you're getting your rear end fired because you kept believing in the upside. You kept believing in the potential, and you couldn't see when to draw the line. And what happens eventually is, like, when you have these kind of flashes, these kind of uneven performances as GMs, presidents, owners, you wind up going, okay, well, you know what? I've seen it in spurts, but this still isn't enough because we're still on the outside looking in once the postseason rolls around. And I'm seeing other organizations that, comparatively speaking, are maybe at the same stage in their program build in terms of number of years of a new system. I'm not comparing Green Bay to Chicago because I know LaFleur's been there a lot longer. But what I'm saying is you see people going, wait a second, they're like years ahead of us. So I don't care about the upside anymore. I just don't care. I need to get something different. And I'm not a guy who wants to pull the plug early, but I want to see progress. And if like I said last time when I was on here, if I was a chief decision maker in Chicago, I'm probably going to be in that room like I was old school Bill Belichick with the head coach, the coordinators, the position coaches, the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, everybody going, what the hell is going on? Why isn't this better? I want you to walk me through why this isn't better. Because I don't want to make decisions without having all the information. I don't want to think I know because I listened to somebody on TV say it's his fault or it's his fault or somebody just talking out of their rear end without knowing. You tell me who's responsible for the fact that we can't put together performances week after week after week like some other teams are starting to do, and we're not on that same developmental arc like some other teams are starting to do in our own division. People are leaving us behind. And they're leaving us behind rapidly in our own division. So why is that the case? Because somebody has to be held accountable there.
So you're saying then, to flat out, I mean, we could all hear it. You're saying then the right move, you cannot pass up another quarterback at the top of the draft.
Unless somebody can convince me that a turn is going to be made in terms of the production that this offense gets, the consistency in terms of its execution, the fundamental soundness in terms of its execution. Unless someone can convince me that, look, over this last month of the season, you're going to see a difference. Yeah, I'm probably looking down that road right now. And it's not just the quarterback that I'm looking at. I'm looking at somehow, some way trying to go, how do I get the right people to advise me as to what kind of coach it is exactly that I need, what kind of system is it exactly that I need to put into place, who are the people that give me the confidence that they're going to be able to teach it in such a way that helps players play at a consistently high level, consistent winning level. And then we damn well better get the players that are necessary in order to execute that system at a high level week after week, so we're not getting left behind by the Detroits and the Green Bays, year after year. That's what I'm doing.
Louis,
no question about it.
I don't think I've ever asked you your thoughts about this. I played with him. You played against him at the NFL level. Probably, I don't know, probably not at the collegiate level because he's older. But what are your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh as he may take the journey from the NCAA back to the NFL? And you know his resume as well as I do. His 4 years in San Francisco, 3 straight trips to the NFC title game, 1 trip to the Super Bowl. Then he had a kind of a falling out with with Trent Baalke, I believe, over player personnel issues. So what are your thoughts on how he possibly would fit back into the NFL environment as the head coach, whether it's in Chicago or anywhere else?
Look, I don't think there's any question Jim fits the NFL environment. That's not even something I have to really sit here and kind of like ponder. I don't know Jim personally. Obviously, his leadership style, his management style, his day-to-day style with the people in the building, with the players. I mean, all that's the kind of stuff that you'd have to become familiar with to really have a real good feel about, hey, do we push all the chips in and try and go get them or don't we? But based on what his production was in San Francisco, based on what his production has been at Michigan, and the kind of loyalty from the outside looking in that he seems to engender in that program, how the assistant coaches speak about him in terms of how they, feel loyal to him and how he is taking care of them, and then how his teams have played.
Right.
Yeah, I would be if it's something where I think it matches up, Tommy, with what philosophically with what I believe and I'd be all over. I mean, are you kidding me? I'd be all over.
Yeah, this organization, again, I'm speaking for myself now, needs to finally find itself with everyone on the same page. Because if we go through this again, if you change the quarterback but keep the coach, or keep the quarterback and change the coach, like this is a vicious. I think Sylvie calls it the cycle of suck. I don't know if that's exactly the words for this particular situation, but if in fact you want to pivot and go in a different direction, you're going to have to make some really big sweeping changes. Don't you agree?
Yeah, look, I think everything has to be on the table. We're talking about here theoretically starting at the very top, right? The top down. Okay, if we're sweeping, we're making sweeping. I mean, I don't know, because look, I'm one of those people also who believes that, of course there are always incumbents that can work with newcomers. All right. So the GM can say a new coach comes in. Right. GM maybe didn't pick the right coach the first time, the second time it works out. Yeah, it can work. I'm always one of those guys who fundamentally believes that when you're kind of tethered together and you're connected together, that you guys have a shared interest in trying to make it work from ground zero. It probably gives you a better chance. I've always believed that. But I think once you start new, especially when you're talking about the head coach here. And I think with Chicago, that's where you have to start. You have to. So this isn't just a Justin Fields situation.
Right.
It's just not. It just isn't. That guy, you have to say, hey, look, you do what you think is best. You cannot saddle him with something that he can. And you know what? At the same time, he can't be so stubborn and so locked in as to think, well, automatically everybody here is crap and I'm just wiping it all out, because that's not true either. You have to be as objective as you possibly can and as professional as you possibly can to kind of really assess what the situation was and then project it to what you think it's going to be based on what you're going to implement. That's what the very best of them do. and you have to trust him or however many people it is that you put in that position to kind of like help make these decisions, that they'll make the right call. But you know what? That's where the problem lies more times than not in the NFL anyway, is picking that right guy, because a lot of times, look, we see it happening in the league right now. We see it happening. How many times do you think owners or the people who are doing this, how many times do you think they really ask the right questions anyway? I mean, how many do you trust right now the people in Chicago to ask the right questions of whoever the hell would be the next guy coming in an interview process? I mean, what are they asking them? You tell me what that interview process is.
My hope is that Kevin Warren, who has been hired to be the president of football operations, now does know which questions to ask.
Right. That's right. That's right. You're right. And you know what? And I'm not going to sit here and act like I have all the answers. Like I would be able to ask every right question, because we know when you're dealing with human beings, like sometimes it ain't going to work out right. Like you're going to miss something, or it's just not going to go. But by and large, look, and I met Kevin once, and I really liked it. I really did. I wish I could be around dudes like that more to kind of get to know them more. But it's just so hard for me to sit here and go, like, would the right move be to get rid of Justin, keep Justin, get rid of the coach, keep the coach, get rid of Justin? Do you still trust, the coaching staff that's already there? I mean, I don't know, but I just know this. There is no freaking way that they're going into 24 with the same regime totally in place and everything totally in place and saying, well, we just got to get a couple more people. Nope. That is not happening. That's not happening.
Better
Tommy,
not.
we can both throw on the tape, especially offensively, and go, this ain't it.
Here's
That's not it, man.
Lewis, before we let you go, it's a two-part question, okay?
Yeah.
One, and I know it's prelim here. So who's your early clubhouse leader on the best quarterback prospect? That's A. And B, Marvin Harrison Jr. People are infatuated with him here in Chicago. Would you put the number 1 or number 2 pick for him on the table? Because I've wondered out loud, and I don't know the answer to this. This is why I'm asking someone like you. How many times do like Super Bowl champions draft a receiver at 1 or 2? How often does that happen?
Yeah, not very. I mean, a wide receiver has never gone number 1, has it? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I'm someone who, believes that.
I think Calvin Johnson went really high, but he didn't go 1.
Like, right.
No,
Keyshawn, I think Keyshawn went 1.
Well, and like how many playoff games do they win with him?
Yeah.
Like that's the point,
yeah.
you know?
I mean, see, it was a two-part question, right? So, I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, who's my early favorite for number 1? Again, I mean, obviously, these quarterbacks this year, I mean, Caleb has some fantastic tape, but obviously, you need to find out what kind of person he is. Drake has some fantastic tape. We got to find out what kind of player he is. Bo has some fantastic tape. We got to find out what kind of person he is. Michael Penix, I mean, these guys all have some unbelievable tape. They really do. But you got to find out who they are as people and what they offer your organization relative to who they are and where they come from and whether or not they're exactly what you need, because every organization needs something different. I mean, I think the better question to ask, especially when you're talking about Chicago right now, is what kind of quarterback? I mean, besides just a good one, what kind of quarterback does really the Chicago need?
A great one.
What do they need? Okay, and I'll tell you this, and the real question is, what kind of quarterback do they need relative to who's going to be coaching him? Like, it's such an intricate, nuanced puzzle. And I know people want simple answers to it, but if it was that damn simple, you wouldn't be in this problem.
Here's the example of that, and I may be wrong here, but I believe that they are now asking Justin, who, by the way, played in a pro-style offensive at Ohio State, to run more of a college scheme. Our coaching staff, as far as I know, Lewis, with Getsy and others, they are more pro coaches and don't have a ton of college experience to run this system compared to like Philly, that has some coaches on their staff that this has been their specialty in previous existences.
Well, isn't that ironic?
Exactly.
And you wonder why it looks sometimes like a game of grab ass out there. Yeah. Sometimes it does, and that's not. And I like Luke. I do, but it is what it is. That's how
I don't think his system fits the style that Justin excels at, which is, and again, it's such a mind.
Well, you know what? Well, then you tell me how have they arrived at that decision that that's what he needs then?
No, I'm with you, but then I would also ask myself the question, Lewis, did anybody think that ultimately Justin was going to be this much of a dual threat quarterback when at Ohio State in his best year he ran for 400 yards? Like, I don't know that anyone ever thought that this would be how Justin would evolve as an NFL quarterback.
You're right, because right now it seems like no one really knows what is best for him. No one really knows how he will best excel. And it's weird because the young man looks like that. He looks like someone who's trying to do what people want him to do, but it doesn't seem like they've kind of found that sweet spot. It's like they don't even know their own play. Like, what's best for him? Okay, because, I watched the tape when he was at Ohio State. He wasn't doing a lot of this stuff there. You're right. He absolutely was. So why is he doing it now?
I think.
So why are you asking him to do it now?
My only conclusion to that, Lewis, is that the style he played at Ohio State isn't working for him at the NFL because the ball does have to come out quicker and because you do have to read the field sometimes, not deep to short, but short to deep because of the pressure. That's the only conclusion that I can personally come to, that his style at Ohio State, because of all of the talent that was around him, it's a significant step up because the talent on the other side of the ball is so much better consistently.
Well, if you remember also, the last time we talked, I said, the ball comes out quicker. The offense looks a lot more efficient when Tyson's in there. Okay? It seems like he's able to make a decision about where the hell this ball needs to get to much quicker. The highs may not be as high with him as they can be with Justin because he's more skilled. But the lows and the unevenness of the performance are not going to be as low and or as dramatic with him. And so then I asked, okay, so what's not translating as far as information goes into the player's brain? It comes out in terms of how he's able to functionally use it when you're talking about Justin and the coaching staff, and then when you're talking about Tyson and the coaching staff. What's different? What's not connected? What's not working with one quarterback that seems to be working with the other? Like, what is it? And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes it may come down to the fact that, okay, maybe we just can't connect with this guy. Maybe he's just not capable of doing what we want him to do. Or, as you're saying, which, again, not being there and not being in these quarterback meetings and not actually seeing, how a meeting takes place and then how it's put in on the field and then how it's repped and all that. Like, I don't want to get all the way to that conclusion that Justin just isn't able to play on time, stay on schedule within the context of the offense at a consistent clip. I don't want to make draw that conclusion right now without knowing that.
Right.
But damn, it starts to look that way.
Yeah.
It just starts to look that way.
It's a conundrum.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it's coming to.